Trigger warning. This episode contains discussion of sexual trauma and transphobia, so please take this alert as a warning that these topics will be discussed.
I can't help it. I just can't help it. I just wanna talk to women about video games. It's probably a bad idea. Christina's on.
Christina's on.
Christina's on.
She's on in Greece.
Ooh, yeah. Christina's
On.
That was great. I know. Hi, it's so great to see you. You are in Greece? From Greece?
I am from Greece and in Greece.
Right. And Greece is a place of
Not the musical.
not the musical, though you are lyrical and effervescent, bubbling with feeling like a musical. Though if there were a musical about you, you would be a mythical goddess floating in the sky, creating worlds out of little squares. That's how I see you. We were talking earlier before I hit record about height, and I feel like you it's hard to believe you're real. I've seen your art for so long, and we've talked a few times. We've chatted online, of course, but it's still hard to imagine you being a real person to me, because you create such ethereal, magical places with your artwork. You're so good at the art. You've been doing it for so long. You're so good.
Thank you, thank you. I've been doing it for so long. I don't know if I'm any good yet.
What? How could you be better? You've worked on Space Jam, Minecraft, multiple fan arts of Steven Universe, Thundercats Go, Jumanji.
Also one like also almost like an official Steven Universe.
That's right. It almost happened, didn't it?
Yeah.
And hopefully it's still good. That IP is still around. And
it doesn't speak to how good I am or aren't, but Cave Story also almost happened.
That's right.
What else? Super Meat Boy, like the projects that don't happen like in indie circles. It's it's hit or miss always, but it's so nice to be asked.
Yeah, we won't talk too much about it, but unless you want to. But right now you're on the cusp of the end of a contract with Mojang, is that right? And you've been working on Minecraft?
Yeah, and they also call it Mojang because they're Swedes and they know how it's pronounced. But they also call it Mojang.
Oh, is that right? Okay. I wasn't sure how officially wrong I was. So
no, you're fine.
That's fun.
Yeah, I've been working on Minecraft for a year.
Wow. And the most recent thing I think I've seen that you've done for it was tutorial art to teach kids from the start how to get in there, because when you first play Minecraft, it is completely foreign and completely bizarre. And you've made it inviting, warm, almost storybookish, maintaining the style of Minecraft, though with 2D art, which was a really tricky process, I imagine. How does it feel to have been a part of the biggest game, I think, in the world? Is that what it is?
It is. We are. Like, it's millions of new users every week.
Wow.
I cannot even wrap my head around it. It feels good. Like, it feels good that they asked me. I didn't even have to beg. Like, they needed a pixel artist real bad. It's been real good. I wouldn't even, like, technically I didn't want to leave, but there's like some issues with Swedish law, and you can't stay remote for more than 18 months. And then you have to be off for 18 months before they can rehire you for another 18 months. So it's the 18-month rule. But it's interesting. I don't want to relocate to Sweden. I have a life here. I have two girlfriends here. And I don't know, friends. Sort of a life when I'm not working.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
one of the things I've always loved about talking to you is we will talk about artwork and games, and you will say, that's all well and good. However, like there's real stuff going on in my life that's actually important. Like your priority on human beings and feelings and human rights, sometimes the way people are treated comes before career, comes before the artwork. And without that, I don't know how great your artwork would be. It might still be technically fantastic, but one of the things I love about your work is that there's always a human vulnerability to it. I don't think you would ever want to make art, that I've seen anyway, that doesn't somehow make the rock even look a little bit soft and vulnerable. Like you add
Aw.
a humanity to everything you do, which is very hard to do with a bunch of squares, I find anyway. So it adds up that you would choose your life in Greece over maintaining with Mojang. Mojang.
Oh, young. Oh, young.
And it sounds like if you could come back in 18 months, you probably would. I don't,
Maybe.
maybe.
I
Yeah.
like a good project. Like I cannot stand still. I hate
Mm,
standing still. But also, yeah, you're right. I'm about like social justice and stuff. I don't know how good I am at it, like alone, but I'm always like in groups and in solidarity and um, how do we call them? Like collectives all the
mm,
time. Together we make some sort. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know if it's a bubble, but we feel like we're doing something. And also, like I'm a trans woman, and I'm very traumatized. It seems like I was recently diagnosed. Like I was yesterday diagnosed with CPTSD, which is complex PTSD, which I always thought like I have some sort of trauma from being trans.
Mm,
Like who doesn't? But
mm-hmm,
apparently, like I was raped at 11, and I thought that was some trauma you can, you know, the
mm.
heavy stuff. I'm sorry, Jonathan.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm working on it and stuff. And then I found out, like, growing up as a trans woman who, like, my parents and the society didn't understand and didn't, like, they wanted to suppress me and didn't, like, accept my gender even, which is a very basic thing for a human to have accepted. So,
Mm,
like, that was also apparently trauma, like developmental trauma, and I carry that as well. So, like, recently, I only found out recently because, like, the human interest factor, right? Uh, like, I am one of the best pixel artists in the world today.
mm-hmm.
Fine, but like, I'm a person, right? And
Yeah.
I'm dating a girl, and she's amazing, Vivian. She's fantastic programmer, a rendering engineer, actually. She works AAA corporate job like I
Mm-hmm.
do. We got into BDSM, like she was into BDSM, and I tried some BDSM, like some dominant submission, some of the light stuff that like everyone enjoys. I don't know, queers enjoy it.
Mm,
I'm queer. I've always known about it, and I find out I cannot do it. I break down crying. So
mm,
I've been looking for 4 months. Why the hell am I crying when someone tells me, "Sweet girl, could you like go on your knees or whatever?"
mm-hmm.
Which I thought I had conquered or I could
Mm-hmm.
do, but apparently not. So yeah, queers, traumatized, like Palestine right now. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Um, you're getting banned, like you're getting shadow banned of Twitter and Facebook and stuff for being pro-Palestine, for being against the genocide.
Yeah.
Um, trans women on white trans women on Twitter being racist. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Is it something like, is it some sort of trial we need in 223?
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
this year,
right?
this year is completely bizarre. So much is coming to light that was always there, that was always bad, but it's come to a head. Things that were, I think, suppressed are bubbling to the surface, and the ugliness has come out in such a big way. It's hard to not be depressed most days, I find, and have the weight of the truth of how bad things are and how bad people can be to people is been immensely heavy. And in the midst of that, also now job search and wondering, have you found a way to fit into the games industry and be your genuine self while also being able to have money come in and have your work be seen and be appreciated? And now complex PTSD. It's just unbelievable amount, stack upon stack upon stack of things to process and work through.
I mean, I find all of those things just need money thrown at it, and I don't have money to throw at it.
Yeah.
But I have friends in the support network, and I've been building it for like as long as like when I left home at 20. We only have each other, I guess, and it's not that bad. So yeah, I can fit in like games, especially indie games. I'm well known and stuff. Corporate jobs, like not so much. Like even at Minecraft, I'm gonna say this: it's not a leap. It's not a weird thing. Like everyone you know is transphobic. Like on some level, we all grew up in the society. But at one point, we were asking like innocent questions during a meeting, like a work meeting, to know each other better. And I didn't want to ask like a silly question like, which kind of Minecraft block would you be if you were a Minecraft block? Because that tells me nothing about the other person, right?
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to ask something political. And they said, sure. I was like, would you date a trans person? And I'll start. Like, I'm dating a trans woman right now, just to break the ice. Who wants to go next? And everyone was giving like non-committal answers, like maybe, I don't think so. Like, I was assuming like, if they're possible, if they look extremely good and have had all the surgery and stuff. I was like, this is the kind of response I expect like a stranger on the street to give, not people I've been working with for a year. And they always talk about their own relationships, like be it, you know, straight or gay, but always cis, never trans. And like one person said, I don't want to answer that question. She's like, would you do you identify as a Nazi? I don't want to answer that question.
What?
It's suspect, right?
Wow. Someone said they didn't want to answer the question if they.
Yeah, and another person said like definitely not a trans person. No, not even if I like. And I was like, what the fuck? And I told the internal like women and marginalized genders team group that like on work Slack, and they are very sympathetic. But the thing I was thinking, and it's really really funny, is during our internal like survey of, you know, well-being and feelings and stuff, how are you doing at Mojang? And all corporate has it, right? They like on that month, I rated transphobia like really high because I felt really really less of a person, like unwelcome. Who doesn't, when you're in a group that people feel comfortable saying, I'm not gonna date anyone from your group. I didn't want to date anyone at work, but uh, I would never date anyone who's black. That's a dehumanizing proposition, right?
Yeah.
I would date anyone who's trans. I don't see you as fully a person. So like I rated transphobia really high on that one. And when I go like in a month, transphobia will be really, really, really low again for the company. And that's a paradox because transphobia will remain the same. It just, no one's there to observe it. I don't know. It's like Greek philosophy or something.
So without you there to point it out, to say the rest of you can't see it because you're so in it, you're so in a state where trans folks are othered, there'll be no one to let them know that, yeah, you're othering trans people.
Correct. And there's at least one other trans person that I know and love there. They're not a trans woman, but they're also not on my team. So as far as my team is concerned, I'm the only trans woman there, the only trans person there, and it's it's kind of weird, like giving out surveys that like let white people like me rate the company on racism. What do I know about anti-black racism? I've never gotten it. Um, what do cis people know about anti-trans sentiment? Like I can tell when someone is trans misogynistic um, by just their handshake when I meet them,
Really?
because because I'm not clockable. Like I pass. I hate those terms, but I pass as a cis woman, as a whatever. I pass as a woman. And when someone knows beforehand that I'm trans and they give me their hand, they squeeze so hard. And I don't know if it's unconscious or they want to show dominance or whatever. But I always know, like after a while, I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can tell from a handshake, and I don't know, my black trans women friends can tell from uh, the memes like someone uses online that someone's racist as well as
Mm-hmm.
transphobic or whatever. Then how are like people who are never in that position? How can they tell? How can they respond on a survey and make up the profile of a corporate like work environment?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is one of the many challenges of trying to integrate into a place where the culture was created by those in power. And Mo Yang, I don't know a lot about the company, but I know that they are $1 billion company at this rate. So
exactly.
the chances of marginalized folks ending up at the top of that ladder are pretty slim for the very reasons why there are inequalities to speak about. The game is stacked in the favor of those who are already in charge, and that's not marginalized groups. That's not trans folks. That's not black folks. The list goes on. So what I wonder about, because I think about your career just
Mm,
about every day, I log onto Twitter and I say, what's Christina doing? And a lot of
come on.
promoting your art. Well, I do. I'm so excited to see what will happen next. So hopeful, but also worried, because what I see as your struggle from the outside as a fan and someone who cares about you as a person, I see, like you said, one of the best pixel artists in the world,
Mm,
and also one of the least corporate, least business focused, least political, in the sense that you don't play the political game. You are not a moderate. You are not looking to all lives matter the situation. You are just like, I'm going to be my genuine self. I only live once. I'm going to go out there and be me, unfiltered, unapologetic. And I also want to get a job. And why should those two things be at odds? But as you know better than me, they certainly are. So I'm always wondering, is Christina going to go full indie, start a collective of artists of like mind, and create work that is uncompromising and unified in its vision? Or is she going to, make the next Mario game? Like, either could happen. Nintendo could hire you tomorrow to make a pixel art Mario game, or you could end up making like the ultimate complex PTSD trans
mhm.
Greek woman multiplayer RPG or something, and it would make millions as well. You could go any direction, and I wonder, is your compass pointing you in any particular direction, or are you just taking it day by day to figure out what feels right and go forward?
I'm taking it day by day, but not because I don't know what feels right.
Mm,
Like even in a corporate position, I can do like good work. Like as you can imagine, like Moyang hires best of the best. So all of my colleagues are like lovely people and also at the top of their game, right? It's very, very nice to work with people who are your speed or better. The reason I'm taking it day by day is because I'm still paying the trans tax. Like,
mm,
what is the
mm-hmm,
trans tax? The trans tax is when you have to start very late in your career, when people, like when I was 25, nobody would hire me because I had the wrong legal documentation, and they saw like a woman, but my paper said I'm a man, and I couldn't get that changed like for 7 years until I got like the requirement here was to get surgery, like to get bottom surgery. And I didn't want to have a dick. I'm fine with people having dicks. They're lovely things, and trans women having dicks are so hot. But I didn't want mine. So it was like it coincided with me wanting to do bottom surgery. But what if I didn't? And if I didn't, I couldn't have changed my legal gender at the time in 2007 when I did. Um, so like I was unemployable. I worked like for a phone sex company, and I was really good, but I didn't do men, but then men was all that was on offer, like only men call. So I became real good at phone sex with these straight men. I was like, I'm Natalie. I'm not wearing anything right now other than my panties. And what would you like to do today? And like that's fine, but that's not a career in art as I envisioned it. I was struggling at the time, doing art every day, but working for a phone sex company. And then, like, before that, working construction. And, you know, it was a weird sort of a career. When other people that age are like interns at least, or, juniors in AAA. So yeah, you pay the trans tax, and like black trans people pay the black trans tax and all of that. So I don't have enough money to even think about, like, I don't have enough money to buy a house, like, ever in the foreseeable future. Um, I don't have money to start my own studio. I don't have money to make my own games like the way I want them.
Yeah.
But also, like, I wouldn't do that to myself. Like, I work 10 hours a day. I wouldn't like spend the rest of my day also working like on a passion project, because then I would be on the computer like all day. And I don't want that. I want to leave a little. I've been denied like life outside.
No kidding. I would play a game that was just your life illustrated by you.
Do you want to be me? Okay, you can be me.
I want to live life alongside you. I want to hear your story as told by you in a game. I think that is the kind of game that would not only hopefully bring in enough money for a house, but stand the test of time and end up being played hundreds of years from now as a way of understanding who makes games, how games are made, and what games can do as a medium. But if I were you, I would also be like, do I want to make myself that vulnerable, both financially and emotionally, on Kickstarter or something, and hope that it, because you got to start somewhere in terms of getting the funding. I've been talking to a friend of mine who works for $1 billion venture capitalist firm, and I asked them, oh, how about you throw Christina $1 million? That might be good. I didn't tell you I did that, but I asked about a lot of great developers I know, just wondering, and they said the way this venture capitalist firm works is they find out if you are also a hardcore capitalist, if you want to win the game of money making and destroy the competition. It's a financially violent mentality. They want you to go to war and make sure your product is the winner and everyone else is the loser, because there's only so much money to go around. And it doesn't matter how bad your idea is, as long as you're like have a again financially violent attitude, they might give you millions of dollars. But if you show up and say, I just want to be free, I want to be happy, I want to make art, I want to have creative freedom, and I want to see what works, no matter how great your artwork is, apparently they will shut you down. So it is very hard with the capitalists. I feel like the only way to win is to somehow avoid capitalism. How do you make money and do that?
I don't. I fight capitalism. I'm an anarchist. Like capitalism is the reason like we don't have free time, and the reason like social injustice keeps happening.
Yeah.
Capitalism is a bad system.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I never like I work in capitalism. I even work AAA, but I cannot like justify becoming a capitalist ever. How does that even happen? I would
Mm-hmm.
have to unexist. Like capitalism doesn't care if trans women exist, but capitalism cares that trans women are not disrupting anything, and
Mm-hmm.
that means I would have to be twice as malleable as a cis person to fit in, and I don't want to be even as malleable as the next like corporate, I don't know, monkey.
It's so ironic because capitalists don't want people to be malleable. They want them to be hard and capitalist. And your determination to stay yourself and to not transform into something that somebody else wants you to be will make you succeed. I'm sure of that. It's just a matter of how many times do you have to roll the dice to get there? And I wish it was zero. I wish there was no gamble and you just got the things that you should have given to you. Now I need to get rich so I can give you money. That's the new plan. How am I going to do that? I'm not that good at stuff. I'll see if I can
I
figure it
keep
out.
thinking like I keep thinking I want to get rich to help like so many disenfranchised and you know, frankly like poor people in
Yeah.
my life, and they're not disenfranchised and poor because they don't work hard or they're not talented. They're it's because of the other stuff, like they're trans, they're queer, they're immigrants, they're refugees. I
Yeah.
I work in groups and I see us like lots of Palestinians come
Mm-hmm.
through Greece, lots of Syrians, and unique challenges to everyone. Like black people who are Greek, who were born here like 3 generations ago, and they're like, go back to Africa. I'm not from Africa. Like I don't know. I guess some of us are from Africa, like from way back, but he's not from Africa. Like my friend Lucas. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And he's as Greek as I am, but he's thought of as a foreigner in his own country.
Mm-hmm.
So like he pays the black tax definitely, and I would like I keep fantasizing about making a lot of dough and employing him or being in a company together or doing like weird collective stuff together without thinking about income. I don't know. I know that's utopic and it's never going to happen, but I keep striving for it.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's inspiring, so inspiring to talk to you, and I feel pain and I feel hope and I feel fear and I feel excitement. You transmit all the feelings, the full spectrum of emotions in a brief conversation. The Zoom
That's
call.
not good. That means I'm traumatized and you're also traumatized and you're empathetic and you can receive the feelings. That's
Yeah.
not good for either of us.
Well, I think it is good to connect with you. I don't think. I know it is good to. It's not good that you've suffered trauma. A lot of people will say, well, post-traumatic growth is the only way to gain true strength and be a fantastic artist. I see that point, but that's too black and white. The fact of the matter is trauma is damage, and it's better to not be damaged. It just is. So,
right?
But we are damaged, you and I. Most people are to some degree, and better for us to have each other than to be damaged alone. So I'm so glad I got to talk to you, and I always am. I only have 3 minutes left on the Zoom call because I don't have enough money to afford professional Zoom.
Exactly.
So is there anything we should close on? I want to make sure people follow you on the struggling platform formerly known as Twitter and see
Oh
your
my
artwork.
God.
And I want them to pay attention to you and hire you. I'm gonna ask so many people to hire you after we finish talking.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Because
Like,
there's artists, there's people like you who would get it, and they have money because they didn't have to pay the trans tax. They've got trauma, they've got pain, so they could relate and understand. But they had
I know.
advantages, so they ended up with their millions, their indie dollar millions.
No, it's also like luck. It's also like,
Yeah,
what about
it's
the
true.
6,000 plus game employees that were just
Laid off.
fired?
Yeah.
Like, I don't see this as a zero-sum game. I'm not competing against those people. I want every one of them to find a job.
Yeah,
And I just want to pay rent as well. I don't want to not pay rent. But
of course.
I'm Castpixel on Twitter. I don't know, X. I will never call it X. But I hate Elon Musk. I hate capitalism. I hate like tech bros
Yes.
so much.
What better note to go out on?
It's gonna be a real popular edition of the podcast.
I'm sure of it. I'm gonna stop the recording so we can say goodbye to each other without recording. Thanks so much, Christina.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Jonathan, for having me.
Christina, I've been thinking about how you are a magical girl with a lifetime of achievements already under your belt.